So this builds on a talk I gave almost exactly 4 years ago. Okay. And that was at the 5th Meetup, and it was, at that time, a proposal. I introduced myself. I said, well, I'm more of like a qualified self person. I don't really think that I need numbers so much as I need context. And when I was presenting, to see ourselves as others see us, it's a famous poem. I didn't really know the provenance of it, except that it's in a book by James Joyce, and it's kind of a leitmotif that recurs. In fact, if you trace it, Davis might even know who it was, Burns, the Scottish poet, and it turns out there's some lady with a fancy hat, and she has a louse in it. And so she doesn't realize that as she's posturing through society, that the way other people look at her is not exactly the same as her self-concept. The idea I had 4 years ago on March 31st, 2009, was that it would be really great to collect feedback on how our persona is perceived by others. I didn't quite know how to do it. I was inspired in part by one time having the back of my head boing boinged. I was getting on a plane, post 911, but I was cutting up stickers with a little razor blade, my Brooklyn Swiss Army knife, while we were on the plane. And this guy behind me just freaked out, and he wrote like a really detailed passage about what kind of person I appeared to be. And then it got picked up by Boing Boing because they're anti-security, and they're like, look at these losers in the TSA. They let this psychopath with a razor blade on. Should we really worry about that? And it was really fascinating. I finally tracked that guy down, and I said, you know, some people do like caricatures, you know, at tourist sites, you know, and I said, you should offer to write word poems about people. Because, you know, it was this very unusual thing to see the back of my head as others see me, and to have like, and just be lacerated by the ocean of snark that exists on Boing Boing. So at any rate, I thought that like we could do a dynamical dinner party where we would have a small group of people come together and we'd all be constantly rating each other. Well, you know, I thought it has to be passive, has to be easy. The Quantified Self meetup that was at Jump Associates in July, I actually piloted this. I got 6 people to wear a number, 1 through 6, and then I left a laptop open with a survey form that people could rate the people with numbers. So I solicited 6 volunteers, and unfortunately the data was too sparse. You know, Michael Vassar, pretty quantified selfish guy, just started MetaMed. He got 6 ratings, but everybody else got fewer than that. And that's not enough to really get any kind of, you know, traction. Then I read Sheena Iyengar's The Art of Choice, and it turns out at the Columbia B School, I don't know if they still do it, but they did it in the noughties, where once you got in, you would be given a bunch of forms, and you'd walk around and you'd go, hey, I'm going to B school, and I'd like you to fill out this thing about what I'm like. And so they would get like a 360 review, and as you know, I'll just speak about myself. You know, sometimes I fall so far up my butt that I don't really know where I am. And so, like, the thing is, what they found was that, you know, you get like 20 people to rate you, and then they would kind of go through something that's the B school equivalent of therapy, kind of gently letting people down. As they say, you know how you think you're funny? Well, here's what really people think. And so, just a quick name check on Super Sad True Love Story, where Gary Steingart, dystopic or just accurate vision of the future, envisions that people at parties will have like, you know, some way of broadcasting their FICO score. And so, you know, there is this quantified selfish Coombe, you know, tracking, Coombe broadcasting. And so I'm asking in this talk, can we get closer to real-time monitoring of our woofie score? So what did I do? Well, here's the thing that makes it like mirror staring into mirror. I took 30 seconds of the video from 2009 where people are asking me, hey, do you think you could get this done online? And I just took a 30-second strip where I said, you know, I don't really know how you could do that because there's perverse incentives when you just post a video clip online. And then I took that video clip and I put it on Mechanical Turk. And then if people don't know what Mechanical Turk is, someday when you're unemployed, you will. So this is an interface for posting a hit. You know, there's an interesting story. I mean, it's Jeff Bezos thinking, like, how can I screw more people who don't even work for me? And he's like, I know, I'll create this race to the bottom for people grubbing for like $5.40 an hour. So what I did was, I said, answer a survey, watch a 30-second video clip, rate the quality of the speaker's voice, and 45 cents to complete it. It took about 5 minutes for them to do it, so they were making about $5.40. Now here's the thing. Now this is just pure narcissism. Watch me do it. So the thing was, I was somewhat inspired by Ari Gentry because she had lunch with me and she said, you know, this is very, right before I ran the study, she goes, have you ever done voice training? And I said, why do you ask? She goes, you have an unusual voice. And I said, well, I remember once contacting a voice teacher to say, can you make my voice different than it is? And she said, no, that's not what we really do. And I said, that's as close to voice training as I ever got. And so what I was interested in, and here you can see the ratings, clear, intelligent, expressive, appealing, easy to follow. Okay, all of those are positive metrics. Masculine was one that I was curious about, having triggered gaydar all my life. Interesting, nasal, unusual, annoying, and arrogant. It's not too bad to be low on that. So then here's the male and female split, and you can see that males are higher on these metrics, but I want to go, these are the people who live in this land, Mechanical Turkestan. But what are the next steps? Imagine, I'm going to ask you right now, should I keep the hat? Now, if you think I should, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's about like what I have every day with my wife. Lose the hat. I'm not keeping the hat. Lose the hat. So then, like, imagine if you said, which outfit should I wear to this event? You know, you could just say, like, you could stand in front of your mirror, and little demons would shoot that off to Mechanical Turkestan. And before you reach for the item, you would have a real-time rating. Now, you can complexify this. You could say, who's my ideal wing person? You need to be like, should it be this person or this person? Dan Ariely has some interesting work on how if you hang around somebody slightly uglier, it'll help you. But the other thing, and this is the last point I'll make, I once visited Kazakhstan, and I was like, my girlfriend and I at the time were on a peace walk, and we ended up on the front page of their newspaper in Almaty, and we were interviewed by the radio. And I remember like going, wow, this is sort of like what the Beatles experienced. And what I envision is this level of, you know, like you pay people to tell you about yourself. And I do not think there is an upper bound on that market. So that's my talk. Questions? Yes?
So have you done any kind of verification on the feedback you get on Mechanical Turk? In other words, it's, you know, no idea who this person is, what culture they're from, with enough crowdsourcing?
Okay, so look at this. These are the demographics. Okay, they're from 18 to 60. These are their distributions. This is the, you know, you see some people, like this blue chunk, which is the plurality, those are people who are doing this at work. You know, so, what the hell, it's $5 extra, you know? So I have a friend who's the behavioral economist at Fidelity, Eric Gold, and he said he's done a lot of psychometric instrumenting of the Mechanical Turkers. And you know, Michael Bernstein is a Stanford professor in the CS department. He does a lot of crowdsourcing. And for all intents and purposes, those people are not different. They're just available. You know.
I mean, have you looked at how many you have to sample to get an answer, say that's good by whatever way you think?
Oh, well, this is a pilot. There's only 44 respondents here. What would you need? You know, like for most people, they'd be happy with 100, so it's $45. For statistical purposes of like trying to do some kind of t-test, you could get, I mean, if you wanted to say, am I different to this population for this population, you could do that with cell sizes of 35 each, as long as your power is good. But you know, I mean, like, that's all back end. Like, you know, the truth is, you know, there's somebody who is going to find out about this and literally spend all their lunch money paying people to look at them. Any other questions? Yes?
Have you thought about having experts such as executive coaches or speech pathologists also look at the data and then look at your video and then kind of compare their thoughts versus the crowd?
You know, you could do that. There's no reason not to. Again, you know, like, I know I'm coming here, so I wore these clothes. If I were going to Intuit, then I would put on shoes. And, you know, if I were, you know, somewhere else, you know, like, so yes, there's no reason not to do the market research of yourself, and you go, I have 32 segments, you know, and you'd be like, and this plays well here, but it doesn't, as you saw, I did the gender split, and there is differences of up to 20% on some of those things. But, you know, there is no end to this. There is just the person staring at themselves and paying other people to stare at themselves. So, you know, like narcissism, I know Gary tried to do some kind of crude instrument to measure it, but we all know we're narcissists. And then it's just, quantified self is narcissism multiplied by data nudism. So, is that it? Thank you.